Hi, Mr. Henry and fifth period. Sorry we couldn't be there today.
We hope you enjoy our video.
Prophets that an idle king, by this still hearth among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race, that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel, I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me, and alone on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hades next to the dim sea. I am become a name, for always roaming with a hungry heart much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the reeling plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch where to throw gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pause to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life, life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains, but every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things, and violet were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this gray spirit yearning and desire, to follow knowledge like a sinking star, beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods. When I am gone, he works his work, I mine. There lies the port. The vessel puffs her sail. There gloom the dark broad seas. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all. But something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done. Not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order smite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset, and the baths of the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down, it may be we shall touch the happy isles, and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now that strength in which old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will
To strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. In the first stanza, Ulysses is nostalgically looking back on his days as a mariner and honoring his time at sea. Tennyson uses enjambment, parallel structures, and stories of Greek mythology within the poem to create a backstory for Odysseus. In the second stanza, Ulysses addresses his son Telemachus, who he plans to leave the kingdom to, so that he can go and be at sea again. Tennyson further references the Greek gods and the struggles of the Grecian people. In the third and final stanza, Ulysses directly addresses his people and describes the ocean and life among the waves. He admits that his old age holds him back, but that his love for the sea is stronger. Speaker. The speaker of this poem is the former soldier, now king, Ulysses. A man who is entering the end of his life in kingship, Ulysses reflects back on what can be called the good old days, explaining to the crowd just how joyous he found his time at sea to be, along with a multitude of other accomplishments. In the second stanza, the king addresses his audience about his son, who will take the throne after him. This stanza highlights the message of Odysseus' worry and reflection of his legacy as a king and soldier and his longing to return to form at sea. Occasion. Ulysses is nearing the end of his journey as king, yet his body and mind are still strong from the years of mental and physical labor that established toughness. Ulysses will decide to give up the throne and the kingship to his son in order to follow his passion of traveling at sea. Audience. For the majority of the poem, Ulysses is speaking to an unnamed audience. Because of his kingship, it can be assumed that he is speaking to a large crowd of his subjects or a small crowd of his most trusted administrators. In the last stanza, Ulysses refers to those whom he has traveled with as my friends, indicating he cares deeply about who he is speaking about. Although he is speaking to a group of people, Ulysses is self-reflecting on his traveling days in the first stanza. It is not until the second and third stanzas does Ulysses address someone outside of himself purposefully. Purpose. Ulysses has enjoyed the throne, however, he is now dissatisfied with the mundane life of kingship. He is now nearing old age, and before he dies he intends to continue his journey with his mariner friends. Domestic life is boring compared to the extravagant and exciting life that Ulysses formerly had. Subject. In the first stanza, Ulysses speaks of his days on the sea and how much he enjoyed those days and the adventures that ensued. In the second stanza, Ulysses speaks about his son in a high regard, stating that Telemachus will take over the throne while Ulysses follows his dreams at sea. He hopes this will leave both parties satisfied. In the last stanza, Ulysses speaks of his men that travel alongside him, stating that they still have travels to make and journeys to take while reminiscing about the old journeys, such as traveling through the great Achilles. Tone. There is an overlying, longing tone and slight sense of regret throughout the first stanza of the poem. Although the times were difficult, Ulysses looks back on his past with rosy retrospection. As a result, Ulysses takes great pride in giving the throne to his son while he, Telemachus, works my work and I mine. In the third stanza of the poem, Ulysses speaks to his friends with a hopeful and inspiring tone, using third-person pronouns like we and us to establish a sense of common pride.